Okay, wrestling family. I'm here today with none other than Kyven Gadson. I'm super happy to have him on. Just got done competing at, I believe it's your fourth U.S. Open, right?
That's like eight, maybe.
Oh my goodness, I'm late. I'm late
Let's
to the
see.
party. I'm late to the party.
2015 with Olympic trials qualifier, 17, 18, 19. Um, the late
Yeah,
19 one. This one, yeah, this is seven. I think that was seven.
dang, set me straight. Set me straight.
Yeah,
So, um, I know you've got multiple golds there, though, right? At least
yeah.
four.
No. Four finalists. I've been in the finals four times. I got two titles. Um, two, yeah, two titles, two runner-up finishes, two bronze, and a fourth place finish.
Got it, got it. And going back to your Iowa State days, three-time All-American, and obviously a national champ,
Yeah.
um, national championship. So, what keeps you going? What keeps you going, Kyven? The wrestling post college is a big decision for wrestlers, right? Because we're not in NBA, we're not NFL, we're not necessarily getting these huge contracts. Although it's getting better now,
Right.
we're kind of snowballing into some special things here. American wrestling is tremendous right now, so we're starting to get a lot more sponsors and a lot more regional training centers popping up and opportunities to make money. But what keeps you grounded, my man, and what keeps you still competing at this stage of the game?
What keeps me still competing? I think there's just a very pure love and belief that I can be the best in the world, and I really want to find out. I want to know. I don't
Mm,
want to look back when I'm 40, 45 and be like, I think I could have did it, but not know. Right. And so whatever that, whatever I'm putting into it, um, that's where I'm willing to go. And I just want to find out, I just want to find out. I enjoy the sport of wrestling. I enjoy the lessons that it's taught me, the challenges, the humility that it's brought to me, as well as the confidence and the character it's established within me. So I'm extremely just grateful for the sport, even though at times there's that love hate relationship with
for
it.
sure, for sure.
I overall I'm very appreciative of the things that wrestling has brought into my life.
So let's speak on that just a little bit. What you think it brought to your character and what it brought to your life, because you're not a spring chicken. Wrestling has been a huge part of your life. You've been doing it a long time, and you've got a lot of history there. So, like, what articulated from your vantage point of what character specifically it helped build in you, and what it's meant to you.
I think the thing that I've developed like just through wrestling is like that be rare attitude. Like that's been like my mantra since 2015 or 2014 15 season.
Mm-hmm.
Just about like being resilient, being relentless, being aggressive, um and being like being electric, being effective. Like there's a tons of different things, but the thing that I've held nearest to my heart is like that mantra I came up with myself, which was be rare, and how that birthed itself was me trying to become a NCAA champ, and it was like only 10 people in Division 1 get to do that a year, right?
Right,
And
right.
so to do that, you have to be rare.
You do.
And so I put a ton of energy and focus into creating something for myself that I could live by and encompass, from not just a wrestling standpoint, or that's how it started, but it grew into like a life thing, a spiritual thing. And so it was just like that, along with like the work ethic and the discipline and the
Mm-hmm.
dedication, like even the courage it takes to step out there on the mat, right? Like
Yeah.
you get those goosebumps and those butterflies, right? And that, maybe that like panic pee, right? Like before a match where you're like, man, I gotta go to the bathroom, right? Like like that's just a real,
It could be a
that's
number one
real,
or a number two.
right?
I'm
Like
not
you're
gonna
just like,
lie.
man, I gotta go to the bathroom, like
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it takes courage to
Right.
to step out on the mat, right? And um,
Yeah.
so I think it's taught me a great deal of things, and um, I appreciate it just just for those lessons.
For sure. That makes a whole lot of sense. And um, I'm sure you appreciate a lot of folks along the way. So I know you chose to stick with the Cyclones there at Iowa State. So you're at the RTC down there.
Mhm.
What has kept you there? And, speak towards maybe some of your peers or coaching staff or some of the culture there that really draws you in and keeps you trying to pursue your dreams and your goals in Iowa.
Well, initially, so I came to Ames in 2010. I committed to Kevin Jackson in 2009 in Iowa State University,
Mhm.
and got to Ames in June of 2010.
Okay.
And KJ left in 2017 after the World Team Trials,
Mhm.
which I was runner up for that year, so the number two. And the reason I stayed is because with the new staff, I was like, well, I think it might be good to maybe experience a different coaching philosophy, coaching style.
Mhm.
Um, I felt rooted in the Ames communities in ways and things like that. So it was just like, well, like let's see what you can learn, from this situation, from people that might have a different perspective and outlook on life than you.
Mhm.
Um, and so I thought it was a opportunity for me to grow. Uh, and so now I'm there. My basically my two main coaches are Nate Carr Sr. and
Okay.
Fernando Villascusa. And so that's going um, pretty well for me, right? We made national team for the consecutive fourth consecutive year, if you don't count 2020. So
Mhm.
16 or 17, 18, 19, and then 21. I've been top two
Right.
or three on the ladder, right? And so
Yep.
that's where I'm at right now. Currently, I'm on the national team again. I'm
Mhm.
just it's an Olympic year this year. That's the only difference. Uh, so I stayed because I felt like you can learn. Like I was getting my master's also, um, and some other things like that. So it was just at the time it was the right decision. Right now, it's the current proper place for me.
Mhm.
And so, yeah,
That's interesting. I did the same thing in terms of competing and getting my master's. Well, actually, I was coaching and getting my master's. So I take that back, but I was coaching and getting my master's. So, what was your master's degree? So, why you have these tremendous goals set for yourself for wrestling, and you want to be a full time competitor, when you kind of shift your thinking and say, "Hey, what else would I be interested in doing?" What was that master's degree, and what did that other half look like for you? Why,
yeah.
yeah.
So first, my undergrad was child, adult, and family services with the emphasis on youth.
Okay.
My master's was a master's of education, uh, higher education, leadership, and learning.
Okay.
When I got into that program, I thought I would go into athletic directing at some point. I'm not sure that's like off the table. Um, and so like I love kids, I love people, I love leadership, I love learning about myself, right? And that's what a lot of leadership is learning about yourself so that you can help others learn about themselves. That's all leadership is to me.
Right.
And so it's hard to lead when you don't know yourself, right?
Man,
And so like, but that's a
it's
continuous
actually hard to do anything if you
anything.
don't know yourself,
Yeah.
especially the older you get. You can
Yeah.
obviously you can get away with it when you're younger. You got a team around you, parents or coaches, and you can kind of make a lot more mistakes. But as you get older and older, the least the less and less mistakes you can make without knowing yourself. So knowing yourself is critical, it's crucial if you're gonna etch out any kind of success in any avenues for sure.
Yeah. And
Yep.
so like that's been a process, and learning yourself is continuously, right? Like it's a
Right.
continuous thing. Like it should be never ending, right?
Right.
And so like that's what I went to grad grad school for my master's. I thought about going back and maybe getting a master's of like psychology or sports psychology, or trying to get a doctorate of psychology, just because the mind is a beautiful thing. It can be a scary thing when you don't
Hmm.
understand it and how it works and things like that.
Right.
Um, but I mean, life experience gives you those opportunities to learn as well, not just formal education. So we'll see if anything comes from that. Yeah, we'll see if anything comes of that. But
Yeah, I'm sure it will. And it already is, right? Because you have Be Rare and you've turned it into an initiative, correct? So it's
yeah,
like
yeah, we
it's
started
a
a
nonprofit
nonprofit.
organization. So to be
Hmm.
honest with you, you're doing it now, right? You're engaging with youth, you're engaging with people. And um honestly, I would like for you to speak more about the Be Rare initiative because you think you might use your master's and your undergrad later, but you're actually doing it right now. So
Yeah,
talk to me a little bit about the Be Rare initiative, what you guys have done, and what the motive is behind it, the mission and things like that.
yeah. So Erica Andorf and myself
Yep.
came together, and we've known each other for a while, um, just through wrestling. And we started talking about maybe starting a club or something like that. And
Hmm.
she had the brilliant idea that we needed something bigger than wrestling. That we didn't want to start something, and wrestling can be for everyone, but everyone isn't going to do it, right? Like every kid's going to have their own thing that
Hmm.
makes them rare, right? Like something that they're passionate about, that's their outlet, that is their avenue. And so we um we wanted to create something that each kid could basically dictate and show us what they wanted to be great at or be rare at, and help them cultivate themselves and build themselves and be their vehicle, just like wrestling was mine.
Right.
And so our mission statement is to create healthy social and emotional learning patterns through creative outlets to help each kid have the opportunity to be rare. Because every child, every person is a one of one, and everyone has a race that they can win, right? And
Hmm.
they might not know what that race is until that gets placed in front of them, or
Hmm.
until they're exposed to um, that thing that they're just like, whoa, like, like, have you seen the movie Soul?
Yes,
Yeah,
just
right. So
watched
like,
it
yeah.
like a couple months ago.
Okay, so like Soul, right?
Jamie
Like,
Foxx.
yeah, they're in the back, and there's like
Right.
someone doing the basketball, someone's doing art, someone's doing music.
Mhm.
It's like that. Like that's real life, except for not all kids have that same ability and opportunity to get exposed to those things. And so
Right.
we wanted to start something that kids could have that opportunity to get exposed, which in this way, exposure is a positive thing, right? Um, and so we just had our first event May 2nd, the day after the US Senior Nationals. So I
Nice.
came back from Corville
Right.
with Erica, and we went to this place called Perfect Games. We got everything set up outside, and we had a local artist come out and teach how to basically canvas paint. So there's
Hmm.
like silhouettes and things like that, and it was really cool event. It was our first event. It was called Peak in the Passions.
Right.
So we're gonna do a series of those and have different people come out and teach different things, so that they'll get exposure to something like, oh, like this is what I want to do, right? Like this is
Yeah.
something that I want to
Yeah.
invest in, whether it's music, engineering, wrestling, a sport, something creative, right? Like once they find that thing, it's going to increase their emotional intelligence, right? It's
Yep.
going to increase their confidence, their self-awareness, their self-worth. And that's all you really, you want, is for kids and people to find their their niche, right? And they're like, oh man, okay, now how can I take this thing that I love and help it get me to different places in the world? Like I was able to get basically a master's degree and a bachelor's degree
Hmm.
off my ability to wrestle,
Hmm.
and
Right.
so if other kids can find that through a different outlet, we want to support that.
That's awesome, man. And I think what you're doing is great because seeing is believing, right? So if the kids can actually see it or touch it and it's tangible, then they can say, hey, this actually might be something that I could do. But the other half of that is following up on their ability to pursue something like that, right? So my mind immediately goes to, what if they did spark a passion? How then do the youth or the kids who attended that event, can they follow up with that particular passion, or is that like left to maybe the parents or who helped them, or daycare or school system or whoever brought the youth out?
Um, I'm not sure I understood the question.
So like if you have a certain event, you just had an
Right.
event that
Hmm.
taught art, which I think is amazing, right? Because
Right.
you're sparking different things in their brain and say, hey, I never thought about this, but this is what I want to do. Is there any way for them to then follow up with a website or a group or a company, or did that artist belong to something that the kids could then join or be a part of, like a kids art class or something like that, to where they can pursue it?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
Okay,
I
cool.
understand it now.
All right, cool.
I just didn't want to misspeak, right? Like it's better to ask for
Yeah, for
understanding than
sure,
to
for
just
sure.
like flow. So, in that case, like if they're so our thing is we don't want to get like too big too quick, right? We want to be very strategic
Yeah.
and while still doing what we set out to do. So our goal is to find and identify kids and families that need maybe a little bit more support or just need that push, and identify them as a Be Rare kid or a Be Rare family, and then support them. So if they're a Be Rare family, like, okay, this is what you love to do, this is what piques you right now, your interest. Okay, now we pour into helping you cultivate that, right? Whether that's
Right, right.
art classes, whether that's a mentorship,
Got it.
whatever type of support that is, that will help you flourish, right? And if they were to not be a Be Rare kid or a Be Rare family, our goal would to be to get them into contact with maybe a different organization that can help them, do the same thing, like
Okay.
so.
Well, that's good. That's good. And every little bit helps. I think there's a lot of nonprofit organizations out here who do similar things, but like together collectively, it's becomes one big thing. So for you to take time out of your day and your life and to do something like this, altruistic and nonprofit, and giving back is, I mean, it's huge. So I commend you, my brother.
I appreciate
And
that.
yes, sir, no doubt about it. So while we're still talking about NPOs, um, BWA, right? It's
Yes.
growing. It's something else that you've aligned yourself with. You're passionate about. Can you speak on your involvement with that and where you see it going in the future? I know there's a lot of heavy hitters that are involved. Is Kevin Jackson involved?
Yes, he's one of the
Right.
founding members. Yeah.
Correct. Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, just speak on that a little bit, and I mean, tell me your vantage point and how you see it impacting society.
Well, I think what we talked about when we were coming together is just like how we felt in our sport, at times, at one time or another. And it was pretty common that we've all felt um, maybe maybe ostracized is the proper word, or maybe you could say disgruntled at times within our sport of wrestling. And so um, we wanted to create something and put something into action, because that was our big word, was
Mm-hmm.
action, that could, inspire, you know, kids, the next generation, uh, connect us, all the generations together, whether that's present, that's past, that's future. We wanted to connect everybody together and then empower those, coming after us to, take the torch and run with it, right? Before there was a Kenny Monday becoming an Olympic champ, there was a Lee Kemp becoming a world champ. Before there was a Lee Kemp becoming a world champ, there was a Bobby Douglas
Right.
being one of, the greatest coaches of the time, right? Of that era. And so it was all about essentially what we call it is black ice, like, inspire, connect, empower. And then our other STEM, I guess you could say, was to increase representation, in the sport of wrestling, equality in the sport of wrestling, and opportunities for Black women and Black men in the sport of wrestling, whether that's at the youth level or that's at the highest senior level in terms of coaching opportunities, in terms of media, journalism, commentary, all those things. We want, I guess you could essentially say, us a part of the table. We want to be a part of the table, and we want to help grow the sport in a positive way. And this is the way that we saw fit to do it. And so we're just trying to be, in my opinion, the best models of how to do that, which is by, treating people with, respect, being positive, wrestling hard, winning a lot, is a goal as well for all of us. I know that are involved, and some of the times we're going to come head to head, and it's going to be just like it was, at the senior nationals on Saturday, right? Like Nate and I started off BWA with the conversation, right? And then we were competing in the U.S. Senior national finals about a year later, and so I think that's just extremely positive for kids to see, especially kids that need representation like us, and so I think it's going to be a positive step for the sport and the growth of wrestling.
Yeah, I do too. And well said. And I know when I was watching you and Nate wrestle, it was reminiscent of when I had to watch Tony Davis and TJ Williams compete in the final. So I'm rooting for both of you guys. You know what I mean? So, I was happy to see you both in the finals, obviously. But the downside was you were competing against each other. There can only be one winner, one loser.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you guys are both studs. You guys are both great. And you should be super proud. Doubling back to the BWA and the positivity it's going to give back, I totally agree. But I think one thing is it's confusing because I just had an interview with Jordan Burroughs recently, and we didn't touch on this, but he had tweeted out about, the 4 or the 5 rather Black NCAA champs, right?
Right.
And he made a comment saying, he was just kind of startled and baffled at the kind of backlash he kind of got from it. And I didn't know about it, but then afterwards I started reading some of the tweets and things like that, and what people were saying. And I feel like it's kind of, I feel like the backlash he was getting wasn't really from obviously people of color too much. It was more for people who were white and maybe didn't have a connection or understand why you would celebrate something like that. But I think just hearing you talk about BWA, hearing you talk about your initiative, hearing you talk about why it's important for youth to see it, believe it, and be inspired by it, that's really all what it is about at the core. So when you see 5 Black national champions, it's an inspiration immediately, right? It's like, wow, that's awesome. There's, I can do this. It's not just one person. It's not just, there's a few, right? Which is great in terms of improving representation and things like that. And what are your thoughts? I know I'm talking a lot about it, but what are your thoughts on like the backlash Jordan Burroughs got about that tweet, but like just the topic itself, because you're associated with BWA, you're a great guy, great young man. Obviously, your goal is for positivity for everybody. So speak to connecting that gap and why it's truly important to have that representation right now until we can have the proper representation, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right. And the goal, like, is in a perfect world, the BWA wouldn't feel the need for existence, right? Like in maybe in a world 15, 20 years from now, or maybe even sooner than that, right?
It wouldn't make
wishful
sense.
thoughts, right? Like it'd be dissolved because it would no longer need to be there because there is proper representation, there is equality, there is opportunity, right? And so I think a lot of it comes down to education,
right?
And to having conversations and putting yourself maybe essentially in someone else's shoes and understanding, well, why would this be needed? Like, I wouldn't think if I grew up, right, like, and I was around like black people all the time, right? Like I only see black people, right? And I only see successful black people, right? I'm not even thinking anything about being unsuccessful because all I see is successful black people, right? But if
Hmm.
I grow up and I'm I never see, or it's scarce for me to see a black NCAA wrestling champion or a black Olympic wrestling champion, then even though I have that thought that I want to do that, it might scare me because I have never seen anyone that looks like me do it,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
so if you're in the majority of a group
Hmm.
and you're around something and you see something all the time and you're just like, oh, like I don't even know why that's needed because you haven't experienced the other side of that, of not being able to see that,
Right.
right? Like you don't have to, for example, like a young white kid doesn't have to look and be like, huh, I don't think I could do that because from 19 whatever to 1950 before they, or 1950 maybe 55 when they let um when the NCAAs was strictly white, you wouldn't have had to ask all, that's all you see. So
Right.
you don't know anything to be different than that, right? You don't have any experience that is different than that. And I think people have to recognize that like everybody's experience is going to be different, right? And some people might not feel like they like this is needed, but you can still understand why something, you can still, even if you don't feel like it's needed, like, ah, man, I wish our sport would be more, unified, right? It's like that will come, I think, when, like we talked about, representation, equality, and opportunity is more on par, right?
Hmm.
And even if you think about it, like you probably got Latino Americans feeling like some type of way, maybe because how many Latino, coaches are in the NCAA Division 1, right?
Right.
Like it's
For sure.
it's not a ton. Like so, it's just, I think it just comes through education and then people just having a mind that they're willing to listen, and willing to listen to learn until instead of willing to listen to like speak. And that's something that I have to work on with myself, is when, like there's maybe a side of a statement that's different than yours, you
Right.
have to work on, listening to learn instead of listen to have a response. And that's something that comes through growth and through maturity, and through really just wanting to understand.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's something that's I'm working on every single day too, right? It's like wrestling. You go in there, you go into the room, you work on little small things every single day and take it one day at a time. You have to do the same thing with issues out here and conversations with folks and your intentions and making sure you're articulating yourself right and understanding. Like you asked me to repeat the question. Hey, let me make sure I understood you right. Let me okay now I can respond, that sort of thing. So you're right on point, my man. And I'm pulling for you in terms of your involvement with those organizations and the positive that's going to come from it. I know it's going to be some great things that come of it and more great stuff for you in terms of the wrestling tip. So we'll swing it right back to wrestling and tell me, and we're going to wrap up here quickly, but who are your inspirations right now in terms of folks? So you're talking about being inspired. I know it never stops, right? When you are looking to be something that you look up to yourself. I know because you got to have a certain level of confidence. But who else is really in your ear and motivating you and helping you, or your support system? Speak to that a little bit, and also speak to like what's next. What's next for Kyven Gadson on the docket here?
Yeah. So who's my support system? I feel like I have a great amount of people like in my life,
Mhm.
people that have like inspired me in terms of like athletics. um I appreciate, like, and the thing is, like, all these people have flaws, right? And so like it's not that you're putting all these people on a pedestal that you like to like look at and be like, wow, that's pretty awesome, right? Like understanding that everybody is flawed is a beautiful part of inspiration, you know. And so
Mhm.
um, two of my favorite athletes, Muhammad Ali, and then LeBron James is one of my favorite athletes. I just like some of the stuff that he's done outside of athletics in terms
Right.
of like the I Promise School, his LBJ Foundation, things like that. I really appreciate those things. Um,
Family
and
man, family man.
yeah,
He's been on point. No,
yeah, and
right.
I would love to have like a Be Rare Academy, you know, that is focused um, and very present in, you know, social and emotional learning and social emotional health and mental health, for kids, you know, grade school kids. And then as far as just like people in my daily life, I'm super appreciative of my mom with Mother's Day coming up. You know,
Yep.
like she is the only surviving parent I have. So like that relationship and her being her who she is for me is extremely important, and I'm super appreciative of that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, like those are just like some few off a few off the top. But I have a lot of great people, you know, like sponsors and things like that that support me and speak wisdom and knowledge, and I try to catch most of it. Sometimes it goes over my head and I have to deal with it. But um, I, I have a lot of great people in my life, and I try to be able to take inspiration from multiple sources, whether it's, you know, like my baby girl or, you know, or someone that's been around the block a few times that can, like my junior high coach, you know, like I have people that are in my life, you know, for a reason, and I'm appreciative of them.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well said. Well said. So I gotta know what's going on with this championship, this championship ice cream. So tell me about that. Tell the listeners what that is, where to get it. What is that about? What is going on with that? I caught a
Championship.
glimpse of it. What is that? What's going on, Kyven?
It's in simplistic terms,
Yep.
it's greatness.
Are we talking in
It's
terms of taste, or is there gold nuggets in this thing to where I can peel melt, let that thing melt and then cash it in, or what? What kind of
it
greatness we talking about?
if you let it melt, it'll be like soupy. So I wouldn't do that. But no, it's just it was something that got started. Shout out to my manager Erica. She got that ball rolling with the ISU Creamery in like October, and then by January we were working on, you know, a flavor and
Right.
things like that. So it's like um dulce de leche flavored ice cream with chocolate chip cookie dough, caramel swirls, and chocolate chips. And I mean, it's all the things that you would want after a championship type day, right? Like for me personally. And so it was a really cool process, and I was really fortunate enough to make it into ice cream and to have it be able to have like my name on it is really
Right.
cool. Like even like just a championship, you know, like switching it from ship to chip.
Creative. Super
Yeah,
cool.
like, and I was able to come up with that, you know, off the nugget that's in here. And it was really, it's fun, and it's fun to see people try it and be like, yo, like this is actually like, this is smack, you know, like this is fire, bro. Like,
Right.
and I hope they're not just saying that because like
Because you're standing right in
because
front
I'm
of them.
standing right there, you know. But like I mean, like my shirt right now, right, is,
There you
you know,
go.
championship
There it
Kyven though,
is.
right? And then it says that I just want some ice cream on the back.
That's
But
love. That's
it
love.
I legit think it's like pretty good. It's like pretty good. And I think it's gonna be going into the online store soon, so people will be able to like order it um and have it shipped to them like overnight or tonight. So that's just really cool. But what's next for me is we have some training camps over the summer. Um, I'm gonna keep working with my nutritionist
Mhm.
to continue to lean myself out so that I'll become a true 92 kilogram guy without having to cut weight as much. Like I had to cut a good amount of weight last week because I'm still at 97 kilos. You know, it was only a month ago that we were competing at the Olympic trials,
Mhm.
for that weight class. So I'm excited about the move down to 92 kilograms. I feel like with, this 4 months of training, that September I'll be in a really good place, and then we'll go and see what happens at the World Team Trials in September,
Mhm.
um, with the opportunity to make that world team
Right.
um, for October. So I'm excited about where I'm at in my life. Like I said, there's nothing without struggle, right? And there's nothing without adversity. So whatever it is that the people out there are listening or dealing with, um, try to be encouraged, try to stay sound, seek sound advice, and continue to move forward even during the pressing times, because life is hard. It is a challenge. It is a battle at times, and sometimes you can get lost in it and feel hopeless and things at times. And I hope you have the support system to help pull you out of those, places when those times do arrive, because they arrive for everyone.
Mhm.
And some people don't, make it out of them. And so
Right. Yeah.
I just hope if you are listening to this, you find a way to be encouraged, and continue to press forward towards, the dreams and the goals, and the things that you want for yourself and for your life.
I couldn't have said that better. And I'm super again, thank you for joining this podcast today and spitting that knowledge and giving that encouragement out there, the positivity, the um inspiration. Just talking to you is inspiring for me. So this connection is not only for other people, but it does something for me too. Just being able to connect with you and mince words and have this conversation. I truly appreciate it. I value it. And thank you, brother. And best of luck to you. Best of wishes in the endeavors, not only just on the mat, but off the mat, right?
Thank you.
And stay in touch with me, man. Stay in touch and we'll hopefully do this again next time.
All right. You stay well, King.
You too, boss. All
All
right,
right.
take it easy.
Yeah. Bye.